morning. The sun is just coming up here at Cerro Gordo, and I have been living in this former mining town for the past 5 years. And my routine these days is very different than it was before I moved here. It's different than a year ago or 2 years ago. So in this video, I was hoping to show a little bit of what a typical week looks like trying to restore an abandoned ghost town.
Woo!
1875. Welcome to Cerro Gordo, California. Just for a very quick context, we are sitting in an abandoned mining town that was active from the 1860s into the 1940s. At the town's peak, there was 4,000 people living up here. If you adjust it for inflation, they pulled over $500 million worth of minerals out of the hills all around here. And after 1940, the town sat pretty much abandoned for, almost 100 years. There was different owners that tried to get different things going, but nothing in a very substantial way. And I moved up here in March of 2020 with the idea of bringing the town back to life. I thought that it would be amazing to take this place with so much history and try to uncover that history, broadcast that history, and make this a place where many people from intergenerations could come up and stay. And that process has been very, very difficult. Even my experience through the last 5 years living here has changed a lot. My day-to-day, my month-to-month is significantly different today than it was 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years, even 2 years ago. Things change up here quick. Amenities get added, some get taken away, new projects arise. And so in this video, I kind of want to walk through what my week is like these days. 5 years into the experience of owning an abandoned mining town. How do I occupy my time? So it's Monday today, and today is a very exciting day because today some serious progress continues on what I consider the most important project up here at Cerro Gordo, the project that's been the most important project for almost 5 years now, and that is the rebuilding of the American Hotel here, a hotel that we lost in 2020 to fire. And if you look right now, you can see the hotel looks pretty weird. It's green, it's purple, and that is because that is the fireproofing that the state requires if you're in an area called the Urban Wildlife Interface Area and WUI, Wildland Urban Interface. And that is to prevent fires from going from building to building. So underneath this green, there is 2 inches of insulation already on the exterior. You can see the windows are in, they're flashed, they're sealed. And today we start wrapping this with another layer of house wrap. There's already weatherproofing underneath it, but we're doing another one. And after the weatherproofing goes on, these furring strips that you see right here that are also coated in a weather-resistant barrier, Proseco, are going to go on that way. And then finally, after the wrap goes on, after the furring strips go on, this thing's finally going to start looking like a building, because you can look over here and you can see the siding. There's a little frost on that siding. This is a type of wood that it's knotty. It looks close to like wood that they would have used up here back in the day looks. It's a beautiful color, one that I'm really excited to put up there. And so finally, after a very long time, you can see the different shades of brown. Finally, this building that you see in front of you will start looking more like a hotel again. One thing that has changed a lot in the last few years is kind of my role within the American Hotel construction. I think early on there's a lot of tasks that I could help out with, whether that was moving block, mixing concrete. These days I feel I am primarily kind of the general contractor. I'm coordinating with all the different contractors that are coming up to do the things. I'm communicating with suppliers for the different materials, with the county for the permits, with the state sometimes for the permits, coming back down to the logistics of getting the supplies here to begin with. And so these days, it's a lot more behind the scenes, behind the computer, behind the phone work, which isn't quite as fun as physically touching it. But for the siding, we have some great guys here from Austin, Texas, led by a guy named Adam. So we're gonna go down there now, talk to them, and learn a little bit more about what's coming next for the American Hotel.
I'm Adam Harrison. I'm a craftsman out of Austin, Texas, out here at Cerro Gordo working on the American Hotel. Previously in the past, I did a lot of work with Kebony, and Brett decided to use Kebony on the exterior cladding for the American Hotel. So here we are, and like super excited just to be here and be a part of it. And I brought my friend Cody, who is a childhood friend of mine, and we reconnected back around Christmas time, and I think the stars just aligned for him to come all the way out here to California to help me with the project. And yeah, I'll let Cody introduce himself.
Super grateful to be here and honored to be a small part of this historic hotel, man. I'm just ready to get it done for Brent and the guys here at Cerro Gordo, and excited to kind of show them the pretty exterior that we were ready to put on, you know, so I'm ready for that.
Sweet. Well, thanks, guys. Excited you guys being here. So right across from my house is the museum, and over the years I've just been accumulating a lot of stuff. It's a good thing, right? So I've got a lot of minerals, there's artifacts. When I first moved here, this was just kind of storage back here. Now it's this awesome space with a mineral display, artifacts over here, you know, different pieces of jeans that I found over the years, you know, different things, including these dynamite boxes, but it's getting a little bit cluttered. And what I'm trying to figure out, and if you're out there and you're a museum person, a curator or something like that, is how do I make this more intentional, right? Right now, if I walk in, if I'm in here, I can point out the different things, but otherwise it's just kind of like random stuff. And I think that it's missing that context that could make the experience that much better. So for instance, this is the first mineral they mined at Cerro Gordo. This is galena. This is what Mortimer Belshaw built this whole town off of. They pulled hundreds of millions of dollars worth of this out of it. That was until about the 1890s. Then we got over to this, which is Smithsonite, a zinc ore. They mined zinc up until, 1940 or so. This is a copper ore that was here. And there's these things, and there's these related people, but I need to make this make sense. Like even over here, for instance, I've tried to do my best where, these are candle boxes, and this is a piece of jean with candle drippings on it, and this is carbide. So before they had carbide, they're having to use candles for all of the different lighting inside the mine. So I'm trying to show that as a little exhibit. Or here, these bars that I got. They went through such great extents to get these bars from the 1800s, but they're sitting here. So I think I need like little signs. I need like some signs to go from thing to thing to thing. So if you walk in, it's a little bit more self-explanatory what's going on here. And so I think I'm going to make it like a timeline over here where it's like, silver and lead era to the zinc era to the modern times even, or something like that with timestamps along it. Over here, I just need little explanations, similar probably thing that, hey, carbide was invented in 1900, but before that it was candles. Anyways, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm going to start working on it this week just because we get a lot of visitors in the summer, which it is now, or about to be, I should say. And so I want to make it a better experience. And if you've been up to Cerro Gordo and you've stayed and you've visited, what would make this experience better for you? I'm very curious. And so it's one of the many, many projects that I'm thinking about at the moment. And I'm going to start kind of at least organizing some of this stuff over the next few days. And I would love to hear suggestions. Something that I've been trying to make part of my routine for the last year or so is getting out and exploring at the end of the day. 5 o'clock comes around. I am fortunate enough to be surrounded by public lands and national parks. And I just think that on those days like today, where you just get trapped behind the computer, you're on phone call after phone call, it just is a really great way to end the day of getting some type of exercise. And today, it's sunny right now, but it's been snowing, it's been sleeting, it's kind of a weird day. And my focus today is actually inside this building in the main Union mine here at Cerro Gordo. Back in the day, this was the largest silver mine in California. And if you watch my videos back in 2020, you know that I used to be obsessed with finding old Levi's in the mine here. Old Levi's can be worth a lot of money. There's a whole reasons for that. And when I first heard about this, I spent every waking moment exploring mines looking for jeans. And after a few years, I had found one Levi garment, but I was kind of running out of steam. I thought maybe this isn't gonna happen. And then recently, a couple weeks ago, I went exploring with this guy named Britt Eaton. And Britt goes by the name Indiana Jeans. And his whole thing is finding jeans in old mines. And after going to exploring with Britt, he showed me some of his techniques, and he fully gave me the exploration bug again. And so all day today, the only thing I've been thinking about is going 900 feet down this hole. This hole has over 30 miles of mines down it, and somewhere down there, there are Levi jeans. So today, to wrap up the day, I'm gonna scratch at it. This denim quest fully feels like an addiction or something, because I'm fully convinced, like I can almost visualize it, finding a pair around the next turn over and over and over. I mean, I could spend all day down here. If I didn't have anything to do up top, I could spend months down here, because you know that somewhere in this mine is another pair of jeans. They found so many pairs so far already. There were so many miners here during the peak of that time that you know that they're here. And you know they've been found before, and you found scraps of them, but where are they? And it drives you nuts. And I know a lot of people have been in here looking for them, but I just feel like they can't get all of them. Digging is what I've been doing a lot more of. Britt showed me that digging, because that's the stuff that's covered underneath some dirt. That's where you're gonna get a lot. So I'm gonna do a little bit of digging, and then I'm gonna tell you some of the other secrets that Britt was telling me as we go through here. And hopefully find some jeans, or at least some scraps. Give me something, All right, now we're headed over to the oldest part of the workings at Cerro Gordo, the Jefferson Chimney. And this would have been worked, originally in the 1860s into the 1870s. And that's what we're looking for. This mine was started in 1910, 1920. We're not finding those 1870s Levi's we're looking for. We're in an area that we know that miners would have been working in the correct period. A place where Britt and others have found jeans before. This is actually a great example. Is around door frames in mines. They would plug them up with stuff to kind of like seal it. And you can see here even a burlap sack stuffed in the side of it. Another place is a chute like this. So this was a drift that ended. You can see they started backfilling it, but they also just threw their trash. There's another sack. And I found some newspaper in here before. So you can see more stuff. This is kind of just a trash dump. They figured we're not gonna go this way, so let's throw our trash in here and then work out. This will be our dump. So looking at this canvas and this cloth that was shoved in the doorway, we can tell another clue that this would be an area that we could find these types of jeans in. Because look, on this fabric, you see those little white spots? Those white drips there. You can see it more pronounced there. That is candle wax. And so before the miners were using headlamps, before they were using carbide, they're using candles back here. And so the fact that candle drips are on here indicates that this was a mine that was worked before carbide was prevalent. And that was around 1900 or so, which would mean that if we were to find jeans, there's a great piece of candle wax right there, that they would be the era that we're looking for. Through the newspapers, and this appears to be quite an old dump. I will give you my reasons why I think that. First, this is talking about something happening on Monday, September of 1878. So, first date is 1878. Outside of that, this says President Grant. President Grant. You know how crazy that is? That's like, what, 1870? Like even earlier. Then there was this talking about another event on August 10th, 1878. 1878. It looks like most of this is from the 1870s. And then there's these scraps of different cloth, none denim yet. This one's kind of interesting, but that is incredibly appealing. I've been dying for a long time today, so I think I'm gonna go up and maybe recruit help, but I feel like that's all gotta go. I mean, you guys tell me if I'm crazy, but I think given this is 1870s, this could be a place where, if anywhere, there's some jeans left. This is unbelievable. So, I've been moving a lot of rocks. I didn't stop when I said I would. I kept going. And the deeper I go, the older the stuff gets. Look at this. This, July 12th, 1876. With headlines like, disastrous defeat of the American troops by the Indians. 1876 is when they're using this as a dump. That's the perfect timing for the Levi's. If there's Levi's in here, they're gonna be what we want. Oh my gosh. So cool. 1875. Look at it. It looks like it's like the day it came off the press. This is July 17th, 1875. Inyo Independent. Found in this. There's more of it. You can see more. All this. 1875. We're back to 1875. We made it to this much rock. We're to 1875. Come on now. So here's the haul. This is that piece of, it's either canvas or duck or something. And it's huge. It's probably 10 feet long. 3.5, 4 feet wide. And I was thinking while I was down there, it'd be really cool to try to like reuse this, make it into something. You know, maybe that's a bag, maybe some pants. You know, if I could have some pants made out of this stuff, that'd be awesome. I might know somebody to do that. So I think what I'm gonna try to do is actually like get the dust off this, vacuum it, and then wash it, see what it's looking like. It's another cold one this morning. It's kind of that time of the year where one day it's sunny and 80 degrees and the next day it's 20 degrees and snowing, you know, those shoulder months. I mean, I've had it snow all the way into June up here before, so I'm not, you know, holding my breath that the winter's done. But today, Tuesday, is kind of like an admin day. You know, early on in the week we have less visitors, and so it's a good time to go down to town, try to take care of my tasks that I have to do. You know, the closest town is not exactly close, so in a little bit I'm going to go down there and show you guys exactly how long it takes me to get there, you know, what is there. But to start off, we're over here with the animals. These guys have been with me for 5 years now, at least the goats. Alpacas for 4 years. That's Beretta, that's Tofu, some of the others, and they're ready. Let's see them go crazy if we break them off a flake. You can hear them trying to stamp down. Oh, you guys ready? It's nice on still mornings like this. It's very peaceful. It's brisk, it's crisp, but it's kind of like before the day begins. It's a time that I still get a little bit of a feeling like I did when I was first up here, and there's nobody coming up. These days, especially this time of year, you're gonna see a lot of people on this porch a little bit later on in the day visiting. That's the point. It's what I've hoped to happen from the very beginning, and I feel fortunate that that's the case. But it's still nice to have just those quiet moments, and usually it's this time of day or the night. So we go back in, get geared up, head down to town before it gets too late. We will begin our trek down the hill now. We'll see how long it takes to run these errands. One hour and 52 seconds. Now, admittedly, I had to stop on the road to talk to some people that were coming up, so let's take 5 minutes into account, but close to an hour. And our first stop today is gonna be the post office. This is where I get all my mail, so if you ever want to send me anything, it's P.O. Box 490 here in Lone Pine. And the post office won't take everything, you know, they won't take certain Amazon packages, so I ship those to Napa Auto Parts, so we'll head there next. But first, let's go and see what type of mail has been accumulating. The good thing about the small town is that, you know, the bank is right there, the grocery store's there, hardware store's there, acai bowl place is there. You can get it all done in one little corner here. All right, groceries secured, packages secured, and I'm headed back up to Cerro Gordo. A little bit longer than anticipated. I spent some time talking to Dave, who owns the Napa Auto Parts here in Lone Pine. He's just a great dude that's helped me out a lot, and I always kind of run by anything I'm thinking through by him. But all that complete, headed back up the hill. I'm really excited because the guy should have been working on the siding. There's a chance that, depending on how much they got done this morning, that the first wood siding is going on the hotel, which will just be incredible and a very long time coming. So I gotta go to Keeler real fast, do a quick shower, grab some water, but then I'm headed back up the hill. So the time of day again, it's getting to be after 5, caught back up on work, and it's time to get out there and do something. And today we're not going underground as much as I want to. I'm gonna wait till a friend can come up later this week, then we're gonna go dig back into that pile. But today, since the hotel is rocking, we're thinking about some cool wood accents. And one of the things that we want to use is some of the wood from Cerro Gordo. And so a while ago, I got a sawmill, and I've been having an absolute blast milling down some of this pinyon pine. It's the only tree you see around. I mean, look around, you don't see many trees, but there are these like gnarled, twisted pinyon pines. And I need to cut a little bit different dimension than I've been having. So today we're gonna go take a look on the back side of the property, try to find any of the fallen down trees. And it's a good opportunity to kind of go over there, talk about the history over there, show you guys a part of the town that not too many people see. Hopefully find some good trees today that I can come back and harvest later this week. So my water is still in my truck, so we're taking the work truck, the trusty old Tacoma. So this is the back side of the property. And this is an area also called Newtown, where there's two other really big mines back here. It's part of the Newtown mine complexes. But as you can tell, wasn't as many miners back on this side. So there's a few more trees. And all these trees you're seeing are pinyon pines. And they don't grow very straight, they don't grow very fast, but you gotta do what you gotta do with what you have. So we're going to see if any fallen down, and if so, see if we can't limb them and get them back to the sawmill. Really, sometimes these things in the evening are just excuses to get out and wander around. So this is what we're looking for. But you can tell, even with this, for example, it doesn't stay straight very long. This might be straight for 4 feet. And it's maybe only, 10 inches wide at most. But if we're looking for like 1x4s or 1x6s even, we may be able to get it out of that. I think there's some better options around, but just dropping pins today to remember where these are, so that way maybe tomorrow or the next day when I get my chainsaw, I can come back here, take the limbs off and schlep them down to the road. Here's what we're talking about. A little longer, a little straighter, a little bigger. These are worthwhile. Wednesday morning, and I'm catching up on work. And later today, I'm headed to an area known as Conglomerate Mesa, which is a neighboring property from here, to help my friend out with a documentary that he's making. It's about a proposed mining activity that they want to do over there and some of the ramifications of that. I went through a battle with this mining company a few years ago, and so it's a very kind of like tense situation for me. But before that, I'm here just doing work, and I found myself deep in a rabbit hole, as so often happens up here. And the rabbit hole that I'm currently in is related to the most infamous murder that happened at Cerro Gordo. And this is a murder that happened December 29th, 1892, and it was carried out by a guy named William Crapo. And Crapo generally was known as a very pleasant, very well-respected member of Cerro Gordo's community. He was one of the oldest people living up here at that time. But apparently there was some friction related to an election that happened here. He left his house, shot a guy, killed him, shot another guy, injured him, and went on the run. And if you look back at the newspaper articles from that time, they read like this. Henry B. Boland and John Thomas were together walking towards the post office. The house occupied by William Crapo is about 60 feet distance from the office. After the men had passed Crapo's house, he opened the door and fired after them. Boland fell dead at the first shot, which struck him in the back. This tragedy is the outcome of trouble over the late election at Cerro Gordo. H.B. Boland has been in business as a merchant at Cerro Gordo several years. He was postmaster when killed. He was aged 42 and a native of Pennsylvania. A widow and 5 children are left to lament this awful tragedy. Crapo is one of the oldest residents at Cerro Gordo. He's a well-educated man, by profession a civil engineer, but for many years engaged in mining. He is a native of Illinois, aged about 47 years. Then, a few weeks later, the latest report this morning from Cerro Gordo is that Crapo had gone. Nobody knows where. Beyond Cerro Gordo is the wilderness of the deserts and the mountains, extending hundreds of miles, all of which he knows. He might make his way to Arizona. He has no family. And finally, nothing has been heard of Crapo since he disappeared from Cerro Gordo. He is as completely lost as if he had gone into a tunnel and pulled the hole in after him. And eventually, the governor of California offered a $500 reward for Crapo, and he was never found. And this is a story that I've known for a long time. I've talked about it on this channel many times. But the reason I'm bringing it up again is because recently I was scanning the internet at auction houses, which I often do because I try to see if there's anything from Cerro Gordo's past that I can bring back up here. I feel like part of my job here is not just preserving the history we have, but trying to piece together the most full picture of Cerro Gordo's history that has ever been assembled. And so as part of that, I sometimes look at auction houses to see if there's anything for sale related to Cerro Gordo, and I buy it and I bring it back up here. And in this auction, there was a number of letters written by people to a certain mining investor or engineer. And part of those letters, about 5 or 6 of the letters, are written by William Crapo, this guy that murdered somebody up here. And so in front of me, I have a letter from 1881 that's beautifully written and in beautiful condition, written by Crapo to this mining engineer. And it's interesting that, 1881, 144 years ago, somebody sat not too far from where I'm sitting right now, actually only like 100 feet away, and wrote this letter. And then a year later, that same person murdered somebody and their life changed forever. It's just very interesting and heavy to be reading this here. And I'm reading it for a couple reasons. First, I kind of want to get a better idea of who William Crapo was as a person, to kind of round out his character. Because obviously he was a very conflicted man. He was very well respected, very well educated, but then later murdered somebody. And so that's kind of an interesting contrast. And two, what I'd really like to do with a lot of these great artifacts is put them on display. I mentioned the other day that I want to make the museum much more curated. And right now, a big focus of mine is making the museum as great as it can be before the summer really hits and we got a lot of visitors. I recently went to a mine called Castle Dome, and the owner, Alan, there had put together this amazing museum, and I found it very inspirational for here. We have a lot of very cool stuff here, and I just need to display it properly. And so with these letters, what I hope to do is get some polyester, archival sleeves to put them in, then maybe put them inside of a UV protected frame and actually be able to show them in the museum. So when you come up here, you can read and look at the actual original letter from William Crapo. I think that that's really interesting, and maybe we'll create a little corner that outlines the profile of this person, just so you can get some composites of some of the different characters up here. We have something about Belshaw, we have something about Gordon, but I want to kind of add some of these peripheral characters because I think that'll just make it that much more impactful. All right, research done, and now it's time to head to a neighboring property to help my friend out with a documentary, but also to film a little bit myself. And I'm very nervous, I think is the only word to describe even talking about this project, getting back into this project, because it's something that has caused me a lot of personal anguish in the past. And the project is a project called Conglomerate Mesa, which is a protected area, or should be a protected area, that borders Cerro Gordo. And currently, a Canadian company, K2 Gold, has been proposing drill sites that would lead to an open pit mine long term. And this is a project that came up a number of years ago, and I made a video about it, against it. There's a lot more nuance that I'll get into once we get over there. And the backlash from that was pretty dramatic. People that I thought were friends kind of turned on me, and I also had the company and some of their leadership pursue methods like speaking with reporters to try to work on hit pieces just caused me a lot of stress. And so the idea of getting back into the ring with them is something that I'm not looking forward to. But I think a lot of times in life you have to decide what you stand for and what you don't. And if you don't stand up for what you believe in, then what are you doing? And so with that, we're going to head a couple miles away from here to Conglomerate Mesa and explain along the way both what's going on over there and what my buddy Chris is working on. All right, now we're headed out to Conglomerate Mesa. Just picked up my buddy Chris, and Chris is the one that's working on a documentary about the Mesa and the project with K2. So I'm gonna let him explain a little bit more about what's going on there.
Yeah, so today we're gonna go up to the Mesa, get some B-roll of just the landscapes, the Joshua trees, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's crazy. Brent, if you pan this way, I mean, just this entire mountain could theoretically one day be an open pit mine. So I'm just trying to use my skills as a filmmaker to kind of show that the value that this place has other than mineral value.
For a little more context, the land that K2 wants to mine is public land. It's just as much yours and mine as anybody else's. And if you pay your taxes, then you're paying for this land to be maintained. And K2 is a Canadian company that is going to come in and mine that land without paying any royalties. And mining is the only industry of non-renewable resources that don't pay royalties, oil and gas-based royalties. So this land that we're about to see that should be designated for recreation and the American public to be able to use, instead will be mined for foreign profit, which is an interesting kind of loophole that's been exploited of a law called the Mining Act of 1872 that was originally established to encourage Western expansion. And so what foreign companies can do is they can set up local LLCs. So in K2's case, this is Mojave Precious Metals. And that LLC is seen as a U.S. person in the eyes of the Mining Act law. And they can mine it without doing any royalties. There's companies right now actively that are pulling out billions of dollars with a B of gold out of Nevada and not paying any royalties to the United States. And so it's a complicated situation. It's one that's very heavily protected. Obviously, the mining industry is a very lucrative industry and they pay a lot of money to maintain these things. And so we're going to get a close-hand look of what the land looks like right now and what it could look like, or try to imagine what it could look like if this proposal was to go through. So we just got here to Conglomerate Mesa and we're going to take a hike up to the ridge to kind of try to give a full perspective of how big of area it is that they're actually going to mine. It's almost unbelievable when you get up there and actually see it. So the area that we're hiking in is a number of miles from Cerro Gordo, but K2's claims now extend literally to the front doorstep of Cerro Gordo. From the town itself, you can see the claims. Some of the recent claims that they took up are a lot of the historic mines that were part of the Cerro Gordo mining district. So the Morning Star Mine, the Sunset Mine, the Hart Camp, these are places with rich history, artifacts, American history of the American West that K2 now has in their target to mine. And this isn't going to be romantic mining like the American West. This isn't a guy with a pickaxe and a shovel like the Mining Act was originally created for. These will be giant open pits that are essentially stealing our gold and erasing American history. And so if you're out there and you're interested, what can I do? As I said, this is public lands. And so in order for K2 to actually go through their plans, they need essentially public approval through the Bureau of Land Management. And so right now we're in the open comment period where people can leave their comments about their thoughts on this foreign company coming in and extracting our resources and destroying our nature, our American history, and all of that. I'm going to leave a link below. Leave a comment there. I would say strongly oppose the proposed expanded drilling sites at Conglomerate Mesa. Send your notes to the Bureau of Land Management. Send your notes to K2. Send your notes to the leadership of K2. And the good thing about this is that there is something that we can do. And that's kind of what I cling to each night, is that this isn't all hopes lost. There's something we can do here, and together we can change this.
There are places in this country that don't belong to any one person. They belong to all of us. Conglomerate Mesa is one of those places. A Canadian mining company, K2 Gold, has proposed a project that could change Conglomerate Mesa forever. They want to drill to search for gold, and if they find enough, to turn this wild desert into an open pit mine.
The federal lands that are open to the mining law are maybe the only real estate on the entire planet where the owner of the minerals gets no return for the extraction and development of those minerals.
I think one of the biggest issues here is trust. And at the end of the day, I don't trust K2 Gold, and nobody in the valley that I know trusts K2 Gold.
So the next day they went up there to go take care of the artifacts and get them out of the way and stuff that they didn't get to the day before, and they were gone.
Here in this town, I've got my oldest son, I've got my grandson, my great-grandson, and they're here, strip mining this face of this mountain. No.
Thursday morning, and this is unusual. It's raining. It's that time of year. What? April showers, May flowers, or something like that. Up here, what sometimes happens is after these big showers this time of year, we get little sprouts and you get these little cutworms. And the cutworms aren't the issue, it's that the cutworms turn into cut moths. So I'm hoping this doesn't lead to moths. That's kind of an experience you learn after 5 years, that there's always a trickle effect. There's a butterfly effect of any action, and the action of rain up here is moths. But we could use it. Just wish we had gotten the siding on ahead of time. So we'll see how much we get done on the hotel today. But later today, my buddy Tim's coming, and we're gonna go dig into that collapse. You know, who knows, maybe 24 hours from now, I got a pair of Levi's that I could put right down in there.
All right, so we just finished covering this front-facing side of the American Hotel with the Tyvek. We've also installed all the rain screen slats. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a control line, which is gonna be our first run of Kebony shiplap. So I want the Kebony shiplap to have a whole piece just above the decking boards. So we will follow that control line all the way across and over into that far right corner. So then when you look back at it, everything is even. Again, I think starting with the whole board is really a best practice, and then we'll grow from that. But yeah, we're gonna shift gears, get this control line done, wrap around that corner, and then we're gonna do one beautiful Kebony wall right there.
Woohoo!
You have something pretty to look at.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. This is a big moment. This is the first load of the siding is going up, and they're gonna make that true line that Adam was talking about. So after 5 years, this thing's finally gonna start looking like a building again. Later on in the day, and so today might be the day. It might be the day the genes finally emerge. We're gonna go back down and dig in that area where the 1870s newspapers was. Tim is here.
Hello, everyone.
You ready to do this?
Yeah. candle back there in the corner underneath a slab of rock.
That is so cool. That was before carbide then.
Can't. I think it's paraffin and a wick, but it's very old.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
Another piece of a candle back here.
So cool. So we were taking a break, standing over here, and in this pile, I found, well, there was something else that I've never seen in a mine before, which is one of these stoneware beer bottles. And then this newspaper mentions 1868. So far we got these candles, the stoneware beer bottle, this fabric that looked kind of like denim to begin with, this funnel. So we're gonna kind of spend some time trying to dig through this. See if there's anything else over here, because the stoneware beer bottle is right down here. Maybe we can move some of these big rocks and find something else. Union Leader Cup Plug. Probably not right now. I might be finding something really cool. Look. Yeah. Oh wow. It feels like it's closed.
A pair of pants?
I don't know. What's a big piece of that cloth? Stitching on the side like it was clothing.
Okay.
See, like, oh, button in the pocket. Oh wow, look at that. He was using a piece of burlap for his belt.
Yep.
The belt. There's a pocket.
Yep. So, we're pretty sure that this area was either like a lunchroom or a break room, just kind of what you're always looking for. And just a minute ago, right in this corner, I pulled out a pair of pants. You can see them here. And the guy was actually using this rope. You can see it's still tied to it as either suspenders or his belt. There's a button there. It's a really heavy material, almost like leather or duck. Let me get up back up top, and there's a bunch of scraps of blue fabric. We got these candles that show, this area was just from when the carbide didn't exist. There's a newspaper that mentions 1968. Another candle, this thing that says Union Leader Cut Plug, which I assume is cigarettes. And then this can, it mentions all these different things. Oh yeah, this, a wooden barrel with the cork, it's still on there. Wooden. Bunch of pieces of other fabric, other cloth. So I think with more time and just taking out this whole side, no idea what could be in here. We're headed back up. Found some cool artifacts, found some cool rocks. I'll show you them up. We'll climb back up. All right, we're putting it with our little mining candle display. Pretty sweet. Yeah. Nice. So after review, it seems that this is actually a shirt. You can see it's so thick though. It's like a canvas duck material shirt. And here's kind of the front buttons. There's the button for the top. It's lost some buttons on this side. Here's the front pocket. I always check to see if maybe there's something in it. We found some pants once with toothpicks in it. But there's the collar. So to me, this is just further evidence that I'm on to the right place. Tim had to go home because it's going to get dark and he's got a trailer with him, but I'm finding clothes, old clothes. We're finding things. This is definitely like probably a lunch spot or break spot. All of the fabric I'm finding down there has candle wax on it. We found those candles. This is tobacco tin, and what's funny is we found this over by the lunch area, and maybe a couple hundred yards away was this, and they were using the rest of the tin as an oil bucket. You can see this old smearer that they had to smear on the oil, and it matches, you know, that would have gone right on top of that. But that's such great shape, and this beer bottle is just something else. It might have some lettering actually on it. Maybe I'll see if I can figure out a date on that. But overall, I mean, I'm onto it. But that's not the only excitement today. I believe that the hotel is getting close to having its first wall up. So let's go check out what's going on down there. Woo! Look at that.
A little later in the day now, and we've just had tons of visitors today. You know, there's days up here where I will talk to visitors for 4 hours in a day. You know, my days will just get thrown out the window. But that's what I like. You know, I got this place to hopefully have people come and visit, and the people that visit are really excited about being here, so I don't mind hanging out with people. And today's just been an extraordinarily busy day. It's usually what happens when the weather gets a little bit better, like it is now. And I am walking over because I know we saw it last night, but I always want to look at this beautiful wooden siding again. Look at that golden hue. That looks just like the old hotel. The variation in the color is amazing. I just think I'm going to be looking at that for weeks, just looking at it and re-looking at it and looking at it over and over again. But we still have plenty of sunlight today, so what I think I'm going to do is try to go up to the hoist, mill some of those pinions. You know, now that we're putting up wood. So I think that's going to be a good way to round up the day. And then finally today, I think it's finally time. Look, the sun's out, it's not cold anymore. It's time to break out the dirt bike again. The dirt bike has been in storage all winter. It's not fun to ride in the winter when your hands are freezing and you're going to slip and slide, but the weather's good. So we're going to have to go on one of the classic dirt bike ride sunsets tonight. I think that's the move. So let's mill some wood and ride some dirt bikes. Oh, there she is. There's the sawmill. Thank you, Norwood. You might tell, actually, let me turn around. I'm always wearing my Norwood gear. Excellent merch and even better sawmills. This thing has been awesome. So we're gonna get this thing going again. And then after we've milled up a little wood, get this dust off, back on the road. There's our trees. I've collected these over the last little bit. And before I was milling them as 2, but we want 1 inch this time. So I'm gonna make some really long 1 inchers out of this, the long one. I think that might be good for some of the framing and different accents that we're trying to do. Look at these things. Listen, pinion doesn't grow wide, doesn't really go straight, doesn't grow very tall, but it gives you some beautiful planks at the end. Whew! That stuff looks good. Again, this might be for some trim or accent type stuff around the hotel. The idea that this
might have been growing, when the original hotel was built. This could have been a 150-year-old tree. They grow so slow, like less than an inch a year. So beautiful. Now I just need to kind of rip the edges, but that's what we got. Still a couple hours to go before I can take the dirt bike ride. But look, in the mail, my archival paper polyester sleeves came in. And these are for all these newspapers here. So I think I'm gonna spend a little bit of time brushing them off with a toothbrush. I'm sure some archaeologists up there will have a better suggestion for me. Trying to sort them by date, and then maybe putting them in these archival papers, and then framing them and see if we can kind of get some of these things into the museum. This is really cool. I'm excited to kind of spend the time they need to really see what some of these said and see what some of these dates could be. This isn't my typical sunset spot, but I'd say this one's pretty good too. What do you think tonight? Are we gonna get any sunset? Or are the clouds gonna block it? I think it's 50-50. I think it could be one of the most amazing ones ever, or it could get blocked out. I think that might be what we get. Just a little bit of color on the edges. That's alright. Pretty good day. Friday nights are a lot different than they were a number of years ago, but gonna head back, probably organize some files and so Saturday, and it's gonna be another busy day. This time of year is when a lot of people start visiting the town, which is very exciting, which means I spend a lot more of my days just talking to people and kind of interacting with people. But that also means that we have a lot more people up here to help. When I first moved up here, it was just me trying to do everything. And slowly we added people. Then we had a lot of volunteers. And these days, we have at least one full-time other person up here named Steven. That's our town manager. And recently, we had a couple, Avery and Lindsay, come back who are here for a lot of the year as well. So I think today, since it's Saturday, we're going to go talk to some people. But I also want to introduce you to kind of the team as it stands. So we're going to go out, talk to Steven, talk to Lindsay, talk to Avery, so you can get a little bit of a better idea. It's whipping wind out there, so I don't know how much we're going to do outside today, but we're going to find something to do.
Howdy folks, my name's Steven. I'm the town manager up here at Cerro Gordo. I've been working here for just over 2 years, and if you come up to visit, chances are I'll be the one greeting you on the porch, me or one of my coworkers here. If there's one thing that Cerro Gordo has no shortage of, it's rocks, and that was one of the things that drew me to this place. I studied geoscience in college. I worked at a geology museum for many years. Sometimes I'll play guitar out here on the porch, so if you hear some music and you're like, where's that coming from? Chances are that's me. Yeah, I also there's a road up here called the Salt Tram Road, or the Swansea Salt Tram Road. I like going on hikes on that one. Highly recommend it for you folks too as well. If you're, up here. Most of the hikes around here, you're either going way uphill or downhill, but the Salt Tram Road is a nice even keel. So that's one of the reasons I like it. It's a very calm hike. The most interesting thing about living up here, I think, is the community that has developed around this place, both in terms of volunteers and in terms of visitors. I often am watching town, I'm the one greeting visitors, and I get to talk to so many interesting people coming up here from local places to across the sea, from all over the world. So if you're one of those people, we do have a guest book in here. Feel free to flip through it, see the variety of different people who've come up here and where they're from. We're coming up on some of the best months to come and visit town, so I hope to see some of you up here.
I'm Avery, I'm from North Carolina. I heard about this place from YouTube. I came and volunteered on a post-grad road trip and then kind of got stuck with the beauty of the place. Came back over the next few years, eventually dragged my girlfriend at the time into it, and now we both work up here. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Lindsay. I'm also from the East Coast over in North Carolina. We went to school together. Not too bad. That's how we kind of got out here, got inspired by the outdoors to come to Cerro Gordo. I'm kind of in charge of the general store here, kind of help out with the merchandise and the inventory. So yeah, tons of shirts if you want to come check them out.
What I like to do here, I go on hikes and then look at one thing and then look at the next thing and just keep on walking, and then it's dark outside. Yeah.
Pretty much the same thing. I also like to go on the hikes. I like to get lost in the Eastern Sierras. Like, it's right in our backyard, so.
Yeah, we both went to school for outdoor rec on the East Coast, and we're winter sports athletes, so being around here just close to that's pretty neat, and makes us kind of apt to living in this on-off-grid situation out here. It makes it doable and more fun.
One of the special moments up here for me especially is we actually got engaged up here. We went up to Sunset Spot, and it was really pretty. We didn't get to the full spot, but it was really nice. Yeah. Nice little ring there.
Oh.
Not too bad.
Some was sent too early, didn't make it all the way to Sunset Spot, but I asked the question out there. Had my mom bring the ring out here and smuggle it out here, made it work. It's just a real pretty place, and it was the right time. Yeah.
On the plane, had no idea I was with the ring the whole time.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We'll see if you ever get up here in town. Just take your time driving on the road, use your brakes, use your gears. Please drive safe.
We're excited to have you up.
It's absolutely miserable outside. It's so windy that makes getting anything done hard. But luckily these days, I have an insulated hotel to work in. And what I'm gonna do now is paint some of the furring strips for outside of the hotel so the guys can keep working on Monday. You know, they're gonna need these to continue on with putting on the siding. And we're going a little bit overkill. I'll show you. We're coating all the furring strips with a weather-resistant barrier, a Proseco, and this is just, again, to create the rain screen. So the idea is there's going to be the siding, behind that will be this, behind that will be the Tyvek, behind that will be everything else, and this just is another layer of protection that, you know, these things won't get exposed to the water that might get behind the siding and all that. Again, overkill probably, but given how much effort has gone into building this hotel, I don't have a problem with that at all. So it's not a bad way to spend a Saturday. Put on some tunes, paint some sticks, enjoy being in the American Hotel.
Sometimes I eat healthy. It's been much more of a priority in the last few years than the first year here. You know, the first year you assume, hey, I'm on vacation, I'm here for a couple of weeks, I can just eat whatever. And after a couple of years of eating kind of canned food and burgers, you realize that's not the best way to go about life. And so I try to be a little bit more intentional on dinners these days to try to get some more vegetables in. But pretty chill day today, you know, it's a weekend. A lot of people, talk to them. Tomorrow is kind of a reset day. I like to go on kind of a little adventure every Sunday. So I'm gonna debate what that one's gonna be tomorrow. And till then, just gonna go out, watch the sunset, relax. Saturday night, you know, big Saturday night in the big city.
Sunday, and I can hear that's already gonna be a busy one out there with a lot of people visiting, and at least one day a week I try to get out of town, you know, to fully reset and just get away from it all. It's been an interesting progression going from, you know, being up here pretty much alone to then visitors coming all the time, and you need at least one day a week to reset and recharge. And so I'm gonna head back towards a part of the property that I first heard about from a mentor of mine who's passed away since, named Tip. And Tip told me about these crazy stone cabins that he once found and was never able to find again. And I looked for them a number of years ago and I couldn't find them. Instead I found this wooden cabin
But today I'm gonna go back and try to find them. So we're gonna take a dirt bike back towards Death Valley, see if we can find these cabins. If nothing else, just have a nice hike and kind of enjoy the beautiful landscape that's all around here. And now we walk. This is a place that I've been trying to find for 5 years now. There was a man named Tip that really kind of took me under his wing, showed me how to use heavy equipment, showed me how to kind of exist at Cerro Gordo when I first got up there. And Tip, kind of in his final years, was really big on taking me places and trying to show me what he had spent 30 years finding, what to look for in the desert. Like right now, we're seeing cut logs, look around for charcoal. There was a charcoal kiln. And he said one of the coolest things he ever saw was somewhere in this ridge, he had found these stone cabins once. And apparently they're beautiful, like immaculate, perfect stone cabins. He was never able to find them again. And we went back here once, and it was at a point where Tip was not doing well enough health-wise to hike with me. So he was kind of yelling out commands of where for me to go. And we couldn't find it that day. So I came back a while later, tried to find it, and I couldn't find it again. And instead I found this really cool wooden cabin that I ended up restoring, kind of more over there in the wash. But today, I want to go to the ridge, spend more time on the ridge. Tip was pretty adamant that they were on the ridge. And again, we may be hiking to nothing, but if nothing else, look around. I mean, not a bad nothing to be hiking into, huh? Well, I think I'm there at the actual ridge peak. Hiked all along that ridge over there, over here, wander over there. Nothing yet. I'm seeing signs of life. There's cut down trees. This flat spot probably was a great spot for campsites before this was ever a mining camp by some of the indigenous folks that were out here. The problem with the desert is this. It's now like, I look up that wash and I'm like, ooh, what is that? I want to go over there. And then over there, you can see a little bit of discoloration. I want to go over there. And if you do too many of just going over theirs in a row, you end up pretty far from where you started. And I'm not there yet, but I'm getting dangerously close to being pretty far from where I started. Oh, well, I see the cabin from before. It's so far below this. But let's go check on how it's doing. I haven't been down there in years. Wonder if my improvements are still doing me good. Let's go check out that cabin. Tip, you ran me on basically the same freaking hike I've done before. I don't know, but it's how it goes sometimes in the desert. You just miss things. Let's scramble down this wash. And after a long scramble down, we meet again. The old mining camp that they drug way up here in this washed out wash. The little compressor. Vehicle over there. Fire ring. Gardner, Quinoy, Illinois, size 4.5 XC20. It's crazy. Look at this freaking car they got out here. Which they must have made it a road at one point, and now it's just a riverbed as it was before they made it a road. Let's look at this old cabin. How's it looking? Alright, alright. Not too bad. I remember when I was here before, there was just mouse poop everywhere. I cleaned it up and I patched the roof a little bit because I wanted this thing to last and keep the weather out of it. Seems like it's sticking around. You can see the eras. It's funny, like they're throwing newspaper for insulation. More over here. So much stuff back here. Oh! My bike's way back up there, quite a ways, but I figured I'll sit here for a little bit and just relax from a long week. All right, getting back a little later than I would have wanted, but we're back nonetheless. Phone died, so I couldn't take any drone coming back, but we're gonna go in here, relax for a moment, and then go ride out this week. So there we have it, another week at Cerro Gordo. And if there's one thing that I've learned over the past 5 years, it is that no 2 weeks up here are ever gonna be alike. You know, 1 week I will be ankle deep in concrete, moving tens of thousands of pounds of bags. The next I'll be stuck behind a computer all week playing general contractor. And I like it. You know, it keeps me on my toes. It allows me to use all parts of my brain and fire on all cylinders, I feel like, and it just keeps things exciting. And I think even beyond what's visible in the camera, there's a certain like rhythm to Cerro Gordo that's hard to capture. And it's just the way that light hits some of the buildings at different times of day, little animals around, but I feel much more in rhythm every year that I'm up here, and the town feels much more in rhythm with the people that we have up here working here now, the people that are visiting. It all seems like a better oiled machine, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And as always, I just want to say thank you guys so much for checking out this video. It's been a real pleasure to be able to make these over the last 5 years, and I hope that many of you get to make your way up here so you can kind of learn some of these little rhythms that I'm talking about. See this place with your own eyes. I don't think the cameras can ever do it justice, and so maybe one day soon I'll see you guys up here. But until then, I'm signing off, and I hope you guys have a great week.